Alrighty, welcome back to the fourth edition of Mic'd Up. I'm your host, Aiden Lewandowski, along with my co-host, Brady Cook. And today we have a loaded show for you guys. It has been a very important and crucial couple of weeks in the NBA offseason. Of course, we will begin with the biggest news of the offseason. Finally getting to have some definitive reporting on where LeBron James is playing basketball after 24 days, several weeks of speculation, reporting on where he's playing golf at, who he's hanging out with. We finally know where he will be playing basketball, and he is joining the Philadelphia 76ers, so we'll react to that and talk about his fit on that roster. We'll also touch on Golden State, as they've had a pretty troubling offseason, as much as it pains me to say as a Golden State fan. There is some rumors where Steph Curry could be on the move. Draymond Green just signed a new contract, so we'll talk about that. We will also talk about the Denver Nuggets and Oklahoma City Thunder. They have had some pretty important financial decisions to make, and they are both facing very different financial situations. We will also touch on the Kawhi Leonard investigation, as it is still ongoing, and there is a world where Kawhi Leonard could still be a Los Angeles Clipper. Let's jump into it. Alrighty, kicking things off, we are going to begin with the biggest news of the offseason. I'm not going to make you wait until the end of the episode. This is what you are here for. LeBron James is officially a Philadelphia 76er. He signed a 2-year, $8 million vet minimum deal with the Sixers. He joins up, of course, with Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown, and Joel Embiid, making this a loaded starting five and definitely on paper the highest ceiling in the Eastern Conference with the most talent. So I'll get your reaction first. What do you think about the move? What do you think about the deal? And how do you think about what do you think the fit is going to be with LeBron James and all these all-stars on Philadelphia?
For LeBron, this is the best signing he's had talent-wise. This is the best starting five talent-wise I think he's ever had in his career. There's not really an argument with that. I mean, he has Joel Embiid, Jaylen Brown, and Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. The fit is a little bit awkward, and that's not even due to LeBron. It's more due to Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, and Joel Embiid. When Joel Embiid's there healthy, he wants the ball. That's the kind of guy he is. Tyrese Maxey proved it last season that he's a ball-dominant guard. And Jaylen Brown literally, like we talked about in the previous episodes, Jaylen Brown said that was the most fun he's ever had because he was the guy. He wanted the ball all the time. LeBron, we know he can play that role of he doesn't need to be the guy, especially he's getting older now. I think he knows that himself too. He doesn't have to be the guy on this team. So, I mean, the fit is fine for LeBron. I just think the fit right now for the overall team is awkward. VJ Edgecombe's an up-and-coming young star, and you're basically pushing him to the side. And I know that's kind of hard just because you have so many good players right now, and like I don't even blame the 76ers. But you're kind of minimizing his development, and I mean, it's just you have three ball-dominant players, but overall, like I said, this team has so much talent. If they can find a way to make it work and piece the pieces together, they definitely, like you said, they're the highest ceiling in the East. So that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, when I take a look at any deal, I look at the deal itself, and the first thing that jumps out to me is the value. You get this guy, you get LeBron James at $4 million annually on a vet minimum contract. So that's this is not going to take up much of your salary cap. And for the first time ever, a superstar in the NBA has said that money doesn't matter. It's strictly basketball happiness, and it's contending for a championship. This is what LeBron wants, okay? Call it ring chasing, whatever. We'll touch on that in a minute. LeBron wanted a championship. This was the roster that he's going to get it with out of any of the teams that he even mentioned. Cleveland, Miami, Golden State, this was the team. If he wanted to contend for a championship, this is where he needed to be. So, again, 2 years, $8 million a year. He is got a player option in the second year of that deal, which means that he has a lot of flexibility. He can stay with the Sixers. If he wants to go elsewhere, I know he already said it's his last decision, so that's not going to happen. But he can also retire depending on how the year goes. Listen, on paper, and there's no denying this, I want to preface this by saying, like, on paper, this team is the best team in the NBA, like, by far. It is. They have too many all-stars, too much talent. On paper, this is one of the best starting fives we've seen in a very long time. It's comparable with Golden State 10 years ago. They have the highest ceiling in the Eastern Conference. They also carry the biggest risks. And to me, there's three things that make this work: sacrifice, roles, and health. Those are the three things to me. If you are looking at this team in a year from now and determining whether they have won a championship or not, these are the three most key things to their success. Let's talk about the usage rate. I talked about this a couple of episodes ago when Jaylen Brown got traded to Philadelphia. I mentioned that the usage rate was a bit of a problem. Tyrese Maxey's coming off back-to-back 30% usage rate seasons where he became Philadelphia's primary point guard and just really primary ball handler in general. Joel Embiid has never had a usage rate below 33% in his career. This guy's an MVP. He loves playing on the elbows. He loves post-isolation scoring. So this guy has never had a low usage rate. Jaylen Brown is coming off of a career-high usage rate. His usage rate was 36% with Boston. And like you just mentioned, and like we have talked about many times before, he wanted to be the guy. Like, this guy wanted out of Boston because he realized his talent and what he could do, and he wanted his own team. He wanted the keys to the team. He wanted to run the offense, and he wanted his own team. And like you just said, now he's arguably going to be the third, fourth option on any given night. He could be he could be 1 through 4 option-wise. So that's another thing. And then VJ Edgecombe, I love what you brought up about him. He's a young, up-and-coming star looking to make his way in this league. He averaged 16 a game last year. That's legit. Like, this guy is going to want to get his, and now he's, being pushed back to the 5th option on this team? So, like you said, a lot of players who want the ball. It's going to be awkward at first. There's going to be a learning curve. Like, this team is not going to be great, I think, immediately. I think this will be a team that's kind of middle of the road for the first couple of games, first couple of weeks, and then they figure it out. Then they could be really good. And this is leads me to my next concern, is how often are we going to see this starting 5? Because Joel Embiid is not healthy. Like, Joel Embiid, I get that he just came out and said that he's healthy, and that was his main pitch to LeBron. This guy's not healthy, and I'm not going to believe it until I see him play more than 40 games. You look at the last 3 seasons, 39 games played, 19 games played, 38 games played. That's the last 3 seasons from Joel Embiid. That is awful. That is less than 50% of the games. He also has come out and said that he is unlikely to play any back-to-backs the rest of his career. Like, he's not going to be reliable. So how often are we going to see this starting 5 on the floor? And I'm sure Philly knows this. Like, they have a championship head coach. They're probably game planning around this. But then also, let's mention LeBron is turning 42 this year. LeBron James is the oldest player in the league. He is coming off a year where he missed the first quarter of the season because of sciatica. So how will his body hold up for a deep playoff run in May, in June? Like, is his body able to go through another long NBA season? Is his body able to physically contribute to an 82-game season and a championship run? That's my thing. That's why I think it could be awkward. That was my initial thoughts until I heard the reporting that we got from Shams about a week ago. And that was that LeBron James the Philadelphia 76ers are looking to put LeBron James at the point guard the majority of the season. And I've heard a couple opinions on this. I absolutely love it. I think this was what they needed. Because when I initially thought of LeBron James, he gets downhill, he's a playmaker, and he loves to score in the mid-post. Okay, we've got a guy in Jaylen Brown who takes up the mid-range and loves to drive. He had 17.3 drives per game last season. That was 3rd in the league. Joel Embiid is on the elbows constantly, and he loves post-isolation scoring. So LeBron was not going to fit how we think LeBron was going to. Like, if he was not playing point guard, he was not going to fit on this team. The other thing is they need a playmaker. And I get it. Tyrese Maxey can be a playmaker, but this team was 29th in the league in assists per game last year. That's awful. Like, they needed a playmaker. LeBron James, when he became the first option in that first-round series against the Rockets for the Lakers, they were 6th in the playoffs in assists per game. So they needed a playmaker. In the one season we saw LeBron James listed as an official point guard, he led the league in assists per game at 10.2, and the Lakers won a championship. So this guy has been essentially, I think LeBron's always been the primary playmaker. I think he's been the primary playmaker on his teams for essentially 2 decades now. So I love putting him at the point guard. And the other thing is, LeBron knows how to sacrifice. Like, this guy is not LeBron is not coming in to score 30 points a game and be MVP LeBron James. Like, he doesn't need to do that. He had a career low usage rate of 27% last year. I'm going to throw a lot of stats at you in a minute, so just bear with me. So he gave up a lot of responsibilities to Luka and Reeves last year. 27% usage rate. His ball touch time dropped down to 4.32 minutes. That's the lowest in his career per 100 possessions. His previous low was 7.5. So that puts it in perspective. His isolation plays dropped by about 4 per game per 100 possessions, and his drives fell by 6.4 per game. So he has given up a lot. He knows how to sacrifice. LeBron James is, to me, one of the only plug-and-play players in this league. He can go anywhere and fit. That's how I see LeBron James. But also, let's talk about Tyrese Maxey, because a lot of people were concerned, are we taking the ball out of Tyrese Maxey's hands? Is that maximizing his potential and his talent? And I think he's going to just be fine because a lot of people forget he already played off ball. He played with James Harden just a couple of years ago. He was already the secondary playmaker. He was already a secondary guard. So Tyrese Maxey can play off ball. He did it with Harden a few years ago. He's a 40% catch and shoot three-point shooter. This guy can shoot the ball, and he's extremely fast. Tyrese Maxey is extremely quick. Like I would love him flying off pin downs, shooting off flare screens, DHOs. I like this from Tyrese Maxey. You get a rotating defense, which you're certainly going to have with that many all-stars on the floor and that many threats to score the ball. He can attack rotating defenses. I love this fit with LeBron and Maxey. The only awkward fit I see is Jaylen Brown, and he's just the anomaly in this because I think Embiid can play with LeBron as well. With pick and pop, I like the LeBron James Embiid pick and roll, but I don't know where Jaylen Brown is going to fit in this because, like you said, he wants the keys to his team. He, again, was third in the league in drives last year. He does not catch and shoot a lot. Like, none of it, like, his game is not catch and shoot three balls. It's getting downhill and attacking the rim. So, to me, it's like, where does Jaylen Brown fit? It's all about sacrifice. Like, these guys are going to have to give up their usage rates. They're going to have to figure it out. I just think it's going to take a little bit, and it takes a little bit with every team. Like, there's teams that you have to figure it out, but they have a championship head coach. LeBron James, like I said, knows how to sacrifice. Like I mentioned, all of his usage rate is career low, and all this stuff on ball is career lows. He did it last year with Luka and Reeves last season to make it work with the Lakers. They went 15-2 in March. They figured it out. This team can be scary. They have too much talent for me to say that this will not work. And the other thing I've been seeing is LeBron James ring chasing. So I wanted to get your input on this, and this is more of opinionated. What do you think about this move for LeBron James's legacy in general? Like, do you think this is a weak move as a superstar? How do you feel about the move that LeBron James made?
To be honest, I don't think it's a weak move. If you ask a player what their goal is, it's to win championships. He put himself in the best situation to win a championship as he felt. And I don't think it's a weak move by anybody. See, everyone likes to bring up KD. KD is the biggest ring chaser of all time, and I mean I understand that. But people got to realize, you as an NBA player, your legacy is built off championships. That's what everyone loves to bring up.
It's ring culture. That's really it.
It's ring culture. Yeah, exactly. So you can't be mad. You can't use it against someone when they try to go win a ring and then be like, oh no, it's a fraudulent one because he's a good team. He sacrificed his salary to go to a better team. He's not going to be the first option. He knows that. He's sacrificing, he's becoming a unselfish player to go win a ring. That's not ring culture. That's being a good player and a good, he's just doing what you're supposed to do. That's if you're a superstar, that's what you want to see from any superstar. He's not passing the torch, but he's stepping down from that big role where he has to be the guy to where he can just blend in, or not blend in. He's obviously going to be LeBron James, but where he doesn't have to be the guy. I mean, he's got Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid's a former MVP winner. Jaylen Brown was top, I think was 6th in MVP voting last season. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Tyrese Maxey, last year was Tyrese Maxey's team with Joel Embiid gone for almost every game, or half the games. Sorry, not every game, half the games. Tyrese Maxey, arguably is the guy right now in Boston or in Philly. So, I think that's a smart move from LeBron. You can't hate on a guy for being smart.
Yeah, and you know what? Listen, I'm upset because I'm a Golden State fan. So I'm going to put my personal opinions and my biasness aside for a minute and just talk about this from a basketball standpoint. When you ask any player what they want to do and why they play the game, it's to win. They want to compete for championships. And I get it, yes, he took a vet minimum. Yes, he took a $50 million pay cut to join a team that had 3 All-Stars, 3 All-NBA players, and some potential Hall of Famers for sure. But let's give the guy, what does he have to prove anymore? He just yes, he wants to win a championship. Yes, this was probably a move that he made because he knew he had the best chance of winning a ring. But that is the entire goal of the NBA. And it is ring culture. If we can't get mad at guys for going to good teams and chasing rings when we literally define their legacy and how we view them in 20, 30 years down the line based on how many championships they won. It's a double you can't do that because obviously a player is going to want to be regarded as one of the greatest of all time. That's why they play this game. It's to win championships. So if we're going to go and say, well, this guy has so many rings or he didn't win enough, so he's not as good as so-and-so. Well, then why are we blaming guys for wanting to add to their resume and win championships? Because they want to be regarded as one of the greatest. He's already top 2, top 1. It's a debate. It's one of those spots. So he has nothing left to prove. I don't mind it from LeBron James. I definitely heated in the moment because I was just like, come on, man. You don't want to team up with Steph Curry. I was a little heated in the moment. But if I put my personal opinion aside and look at it from just a common sense standpoint, it was obvious that this was the move that he had to make if he wanted to win a championship. His goal was always to contend. It's what he wants to do. So I'm not, and people comparing it to KD, I think people don't realize, is he ring chasing? Philly hasn't won a championship in 40 years. Philadelphia is not a championship. This has not been, they're not a champ. Okay, now they are.
Okay. Yeah,
but if you look at it,
but you can't say that they've won a championship.
No,
correct?
They have won a championship, but this is a team that has not won in a very long time. This is a team that is coming off of a season where they missed the playoffs and then they got swept in the second round. So this is not a team that's known for its win. The difference between KD and LeBron here, Kevin Durant joined a team that not only had just won a championship, but also went 73-9. He joined a team that was already an established championship team. That to me, that was a weak move in my opinion. You leave to the team. I'm happy about it, but you leave to a team that just beat you in the playoffs. For me, it's slightly comparable, but it's really not. If you look at Philadelphia's not now they're a championship team, and I get it. It sounds crazy to say that, but this is not a team that's known for winning. They haven't won in the past couple of years. But let's just can we give some credit to the Philadelphia front office, just in general, look at this team 8 weeks ago, and look at them now. I just want to shine some light on what Philadelphia has just done. This was a team that was swept out of the playoffs by the New York Knicks, barely got by the Celtics, right? This was a team that was dealing with an aging core, Joel Embiid always injured, Paul George on a $54 million deal, who is obviously in decline and is a deteriorating asset, and a guy who was suspended for 25 games because of, substance abuse, right? Illegal PEDs, right? So this was a guy who was not a good asset for Philly, and somehow in a couple of weeks, they swap and dump off Paul George's contract for a 29-year-old former Finals MVP in the peak of his career. And then they also get LeBron James, and that's not even to mention the other signings in Dean Wade, Anthony Simons, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. And I tell you what, if that rumor about Drew Holiday has any substance to it, watch out, because if Drew Holiday joins this team, it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fun for the rest of the league, and it's just let's just give some credit to Philly's front office. This is a team that was in a horrible spot. They could not get past the second round, and they had been losing in the playoffs for almost a decade, and the process was ending, and somehow they are now championship contenders. They have the highest ceiling in the East. I know I just talked about the risks, but they by far have the most talent out of anybody in the league. We'll see how it fits. I'm definitely interested. But LeBron James to the Philadelphia 76ers, there you have it. Me and Brady finally get to actually talk some basketball instead of telling you he's been hanging out with Draymond Green and Kevin Hart on the golf course. So thank goodness he finally did it. And guess what? It was after the World Cup. Like I said, you know what, though? I will give him some props. He didn't make it as big of a deal as I thought he would. He just made a little Instagram post. I thought he was going to go on live TV and announce it. But I'll give him some props for that. So that's our general reaction to LeBron James, the Sixers. Let us know what you think. But I'm excited to see how this Philly team checks out and fits all together when October rolls around.
I want to say one more thing about ring chasing. I understand KD went to a 73-9 team. LeBron just joined 3 All-Stars with a former Finals MVP, a guy that just got 6 in MVP voting. A guy, Tyrese Maxey, I don't even know how much he averaged last year, but he was a dog. He was in early season, he was in MVP talks in the process, who arguably is the most skilled big man of all time and before he got injured. So I do want to say that, and let me clarify this. Everyone likes to say Jordan had so much help. If LeBron wins a ring, you cannot argue the help anymore because the team around him is ridiculously good.
It's the biggest. That's the biggest thing I have on people who hate on Steph Curry for getting 2 extra rings with Kevin Durant. Okay, he played with Kevin Durant. Let's look at who LeBron's played with. Like, why are we? Yeah. Let's use the same standard. He's playing with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. He's played with Kyrie Irving in the peak of his career.
Let's not forget Ray Allen. Ray Allen's a top 5
Ray Allen,
of all time.
right? Exactly. Saved Game 6 of the finals. Like, this is like his teammate LeBron, and now he's joining. Like you just said, he had Anthony Davis. He had Anthony Davis on the Lakers. Now he's got Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, who I think is going to be a star in this game. I know this will stunt his growth a little bit, but Joel Embiid, Jaylen Brown, like this is an elite team. And again, and I know we've been talking for 20 minutes about LeBron, but it's LeBron James. Let's just say, if this Jaylen Brown move doesn't happen, if Philadelphia doesn't go out and get Jaylen Brown, LeBron does not join Philadelphia. I will put that out there right now. Philadelphia, and I talked about it. A couple episodes ago when we were speculating where LeBron would go. LeBron James was looking around the league, and he was like, what teams are making the most impactful, contending moves, and what team can I join that is actually willing to go out and make moves to go and contend for a championship? And it was Philadelphia. I talked about it. Draymond Green took the pay cut. James Harden has not signed yet because he was waiting to see what Cleveland could do with extra, cap room. Philadelphia made the move. They went out and got Jaylen Brown somehow from Boston for Paul George. I'm still in disbelief how that even happened. But they were able to go out, make the right moves, and they landed LeBron James, and he was the final piece. And anybody who says that this is not a good move from Philadelphia, and I know I reacted to it, and I was like, well, there's too many ball handlers. But if anybody says that LeBron James will not make this team better, that's crazy to me. Like, this team, let's just not deny the talent. We cannot keep denying the talent this team has. Yes, VJ Edgecombe is not going to be the same, all-star rookie-looking player, but he can fit in. He can be a cutter. I think he can be a cutter. He can be a great defender, and he can knock down the 3 ball. He shot 35% from 3, I think. He can knock down shots. He can cut to the basket. He's athletic. This guy will have no problem. And then they filled out their bench. That was the one concern people had. Anthony Simons is, 15-point per game scorer.
Dean Wade's such a great signing.
It's a great signing because what was one of this team's biggest concerns was defense. LeBron James is 42, and now you can bring in Dean Wade, who has fresher legs, and he's a great perimeter defender. He's also a great perimeter shooter. He can shoot 40% from 3. And then you add KCP. We know how good he is and how much of he was a huge piece for that Denver team 3 years ago when they won the championship. So any doubts that I think Philadelphia has shut down any doubts. The only fit question I have is Jaylen Brown. And that's just because I don't know where Jaylen Brown's headspace is. I don't know if he's happy with all the moves that have been made. He didn't choose to go to Philadelphia. He wants his own team, right? And I don't know how he feels. He tweeted throw the ball up, whatever that means. But, I don't know what you want. I don't know how I'm meant to decipher his headspace on how he feels about all these signings. And, he could be the 4th option on any given night. So it's just that's the only question I have. But this team will be just fine. They have too much talent to be, for some of the predictions I see, them being the 7th seed, that's absurd. They were the 7th seed last year. And Joel Embiid played half the games. And now they add Jaylen Brown, an MVP candidate, Joel Embiid, a former MVP, and Tyrese Maxey, an all-star, a very all-NBA level player. So how are they going to be a play-in team? This will be the only reason I see this team being a 2 or a 3 seed is because of health. But that's it. We're done talking about LeBron. I think it's a good signing. Brady thinks it's a good signing. Some fit questions, but I think they'll be just fine in a couple of weeks. A couple weeks in and a couple months into the season, they'll be just fine. Alrighty, let's talk about a topic that is near and dear to my heart, the Golden State Warriors. Now, we're not talking positively because there has been just about nothing positive about this offseason for Golden State. They have been pretty awful when it comes to the moves they've made. In fact, I don't know why I'm talking about moves because they haven't made any. So I'm gonna get into that in a second. But let's just talk about what they have done so far. Draymond Green re-signs to the Golden State Warriors on a 1-year, $27.7 million deal. They've also re-signed Gary Payton to a 1-year deal. They re-signed Porzingis and Horford, obviously. Jimmy Butler still remains with the team. They have 2 open roster spots. So before I go in on my own front office, let's hear your opinion. What do you think about Golden State?
Golden State might have the worst front office in the league. You let guys like Dean Wade.
Crazy too because we let go of Bob Myers. Sorry, we just had one of the best, and now we have one. Sorry, you got it.
You're fine. No, you're fine. You lose out on LeBron, and then I forgot even who it was, who the replacement was going to be for LeBron. It was not. It was
Mario Hezonja. By the way, he signed with the Cavs on a $2 million. He signed on a vet minimum. I'm pretty sure. So, we didn't even get that.
You did.
I literally sent this to Brady too. I said we can't even get Mario Hezonja anymore. I don't know what happened to the Bay. I just whatever.
You lose out on that. You overpaid Draymond, in my opinion. You overpaid him. What I do about Warriors is they had a good draft. I do love Jax Lenberg, and he obviously played great. I think it's a great fit for winning now.
I think Leger Jones is good too. A lot of people don't talk about him. He didn't have a bad summer league, but sorry, I keep butting in.
But this front office has been so bad in this offseason that they put themselves in a predicament where they might have to trade Stephen Curry. The cornerstone of this franchise for the past, 15 years? So you did such a bad job that you now have to basically trade your star player. And this doesn't even relate to basketball. This is what the Tigers did with Tariq Skubal, which that's a sensitive subject for me. This is how it's sensitive for Lou. That's sensitive for me. I'm not talking about that.
It's crazy.
But this is where the front office is so bad that they're losing out on their star players. Lou, take it away because this is yours.
Okay. Let me just start off with the Draymond deal. Let me just start off with the Draymond deal. I'll start off. So the people overreacting. This was the deal he was supposed to get. This was the player option he declined. He signed for the exact amount of money he would have been, making if he had just accepted that player option. That was when we thought we were getting LeBron. So that was a long time ago, and obviously it was a pipe dream. Obviously, so. Let's talk about Draymond Green, his contract. I would have liked a discount. I would have liked to see maybe this be more around 18 or 20 million. That would have gave him more flexibility to go out and sign some guys like DeMar DeRozan or Bradley Beal. Who knows? I bring up these names. They probably aren't going to sign them. But let's just I would have liked it. Now, the one thing I will say about Draymond's deal, it has normally he signs for a no trade clause. This deal does not include a no-trade clause. So, to me, that tells me 2 things. In the 1-year deal, this tells me 2 things. One, Draymond is either, Golden State can move him in the middle of the season if they want. I know they talked about it last trade deadline. They talk about a lot of moves, but they did not do it again. So, Golden State could trade him in the middle of the season. They can move him. We'll see what they do with that. I don't think they will, based on previous experiences of being a fan. Now the 1-year deal to me gives them a little bit more flexibility, and Draymond some flexibility. Now they're not locked into this contract for, it's not multiple years, so they can obviously, let him walk if they need to. Draymond could also take a pay cut next year. I keep saying, I bring up pay cuts a lot, but we could see him do a similar thing that he did, this offseason. LeBron is also on a player option. I know he just said that it's his last decision. I know we just talked about LeBron enough, but LeBron is also on a player option. So, and there's some free agents that we'll talk about in a minute that are on the market. So he's on a 1-year deal. He could, re-sign for less money next year or, retire, whatever he wants to do. It's Draymond Green. So that's the 2 things that I get from this contract. I would have liked a little bit less money on it. But at the end of the day, I'm not mad about it because I actually am a Draymond Green supporter. It's too much money for how old he is and the production he gives now, but I actually am. I think he's obviously monumental to this team, and his jersey will be retired. And I like Draymond Green. Let's touch on Steph Curry. I know you touched on it just a little bit. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying I believe that there is no chance that Stephen Curry will not be a Warrior by the time he retires. I firmly believe he will stay with this team. Just based, I don't see him anywhere else. I don't see Golden State wanting to trade him. Even though I think I will say though that this is the first time in my entire life, in my entire time watching basketball, that I can slightly entertain the possibility of him being on the move or Golden State losing him because based off the offseason they've had in the recent inability to build a contending roster around him. So really the questions arise when it comes to August 29th. That's the date you've got to focus on the most because on August 29th, Steph Curry becomes eligible for a 2-year, $136 million deal. It's one of those two. So he becomes eligible for a very big extension. He's on the last year of his deal. It's $62.5 million a year this year. He's worth every cent. So let's just get that out of the way. This is the last year of his deal, and he's eligible for an extension on the 29th of August. There was a report that came out, and I don't know how much substance this has, and I don't know how much stock I'm going to put into it, but it makes sense that he is no longer on the same page with the Warriors front office and that he is tired of star chasing. And Joe Lacob has also come out and said that he's more focused on looking to build the roster and the team post-Steph Curry era. My first question is, okay, that's fine, but what have you done to show that? You say that, and yet you are the only team in the league that has not acquired a player via trade or signing this offseason. You're the only team in the league to not add a player. So, okay, how are we building the roster? Now you've just locked down a 36-year-old Draymond Green to a $30 million deal. You owe Jimmy Butler $56 million this year, and he's injured half the year. I don't get, like you say you want to build a roster post-Steph Curry, but you haven't done that. Like you have not put this team in a position to be any better once he leaves. Like this team will be bottom feeders as soon as he retires. Yeah, you got it.
Not only that, they drafted the oldest player in the draft, or one of the oldest players
exactly.
in the draft.
Right. So if you were looking for the future, I like the pick. I actually do like the pick because it's a win now. But you're making a win now. Yeah, okay, whatever, Michigan. You make a win now move, yet you are building for the future? Like, Yex was a win now pick. Like that, I don't understand the pick. So he's got to me, let's just build around our transcendent generational superstar. How about we do that? How about we maximize the final years of Steph Curry's prime? Because this guy is still an elite talent. I don't care what anybody... Yes, he might have fallen off slightly, but he is still an all-NBA level talent and one of the greatest players to ever play this game. How about we focus on what we have now and build around it? Golden State, he's got a very interesting decision. If he asks for the 2-year deal, Golden State will give it to him like that. They will give it to him in a heartbeat. There's no question about it. But if he doesn't, if he opts out and waits to sign this extension and becomes a free agent, this puts a little pressure on Golden State's front office. They've got a very interesting offseason coming up. Jimmy Butler's in the final year of his deal. Draymond Green has only got a 1-year deal, so he's also in the final year. And I don't know how much they want to extend Brandon Podziemski. I don't want to extend Brandon Podziemski, but what do I know? I'm a fan. So Golden State's in a position where they could clear about $120 or $140 million in cap space next year. Like they have the ability to go out and sign a big name. I take that with a grain of salt because they don't do that. But like, here's what I'll say: this would put pressure on Golden State's front office, which they need. But I compare Golden State's front office to a fisherman who goes out on fishing trips looking to catch a bass and comes back with nothing but bait. They come back with absolutely nothing. They catch no fish at all. Listen to this. They have missed on every single move they set out on. I don't care about the Jimmy Butler trade. Yes, it was a great trade. They have missed every move that they come out and said, all right, we're going for this guy. They have missed every single time. Let's talk about Paul George.
Lauri Markkanen. You got Giannis, LeBron. Okay, there's so many.
So Paul George, they were in the running for Paul George. Listen, I wouldn't have moved the needle for me, but it would have been better. Would have been better than Podziemski. Like missed out on George. They still haven't traded for Lauri Markkanen, who is still somehow on Utah. They missed on Siakam. They missed on Kevin Durant. They missed on Jaylen Brown because they didn't want to take him off Boston's hands because he wasn't, they were doubtful he could carry the franchise post Steph Curry. Really? Because this guy's averaging 29 a game. He's 29 years old, and he's coming off of a finals MVP.
6 MVP voting with the team to himself, by the way.
Exactly. They did not trade for Anthony Davis this year because they had injury concerns. And I get it. Yes, he's made of glass. I understand it. But let's just look at this from another perspective. If you get AD, you likely get LeBron. So what are like I just don't understand how like I'm tired of, and I would be tired of it too. I don't understand if you're going to come out and say that you're going for these stars. At some point, you've got to actually hit on one of these. Like, you actually have to land one of these guys. So, I guess my final thing, what is Golden State's next move? I'm genuinely like, this team I think will still be solid. Like, I don't like seeing oh, this team will be in a lottery next year. Oh, they'll be 32-50. I don't like that. That doesn't make any. That's not reasonable to me. This will just be the same old 70 or like 7, 8 seed, 45, 40 range win team that we've been used to seeing and been accustomed to the last couple of years. This will be like, because when Jimmy Butler gets back, they'll be fine. Like, they'll have Curry, Butler, Green, Porzingis. That's not a bad team. Like, that has enough talent to make a little play-in run and maybe get into the first round and make some noise. I think Golden State has kind of accepted that they're just not contending. Like, they're kind of done. They're not going to contend for a championship. They've missed out on every move. To me, it's just like, where do you go from here? Draymond signed for $30 million. You're only going to be able to offer DeMar and Beal a vet minimum, if anything. They have some competitive, like, there's Cleveland's looking for him. Cleveland's got more money than Golden State to go out and sign now. The only guys you can really get are probably Gabe Vincent, Kelly Olynyk, or Doug McDermott. Like, I just don't think, like, none of those guys to me are moving the needle. Like, I think we would be just fine just leaving those 2 roster spots open at this point. Like, me and you could probably go play. So, like, I don't understand why Golden State is, like, where their where the headspace is of their front office. I don't understand. Shout out Bob Myers for leaving when he did. He had a vision, and he knew that this team was a sinking ship. Just all sunk that one training camp practice where Draymond punched Jordan Poole in the face. And it just pains me to say as a Warriors fan, it's getting really dark out. I just wanted to mention that. My lighting is getting absolutely worse. It looks like we got a storm coming in. But besides that, I'll just say Golden State needs to figure it out. I don't think Steph Curry will be traded. The stuff I hear about him teaming up with Wemby, that would be amazing. Like, I'd love Steph to go team up with Wemby, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Golden State, I know you don't, but I think Golden State is just in a bad position. And that's all I've got to say. I'm done talking about Golden State. I don't know if you have any final comments, but I thought I made a pretty good point there I don't know.
Yeah, Draymond made it a point to say this ain't G League money. Shout out Anthony Davis's
yeah.
show.
This ain't G League money. Yeah, you got $27 million. So
yeah,
shout out Draymond, man. Shout out Draymond and his agent, Rich Paul. It got rainy. Because I was talking about how poor the Golden State. Like, this is how Golden State. This is how the fans see the world right now.
Yeah. This is how Golden State is every day right now. The Bay.
This is bad. Like, there is no sunshine in the Bay right now. Anyways, let's jump into a different segment. Maybe a more positive. Actually, this isn't a positive segment for Denver Nugget fans. Let's talk about the Nuggets' financial problems. Denver is in a very bad spot financially. Let me just say that right now. It all started when Spencer Jones received an offer sheet from the Oklahoma City Thunder on a 2-year, $12 million deal. Now, of course, Spencer Jones is a restricted free agent, or was. So Denver had the opportunity to match it, and they did. So they brought back Spencer Jones, and you might be wondering, why is this significant to the financial landscape of Denver's offseason? Like, what does Spencer Jones have to do with anything? Well, it pushed Denver over the second apron, and they are currently the only team above the second apron right now. They have a payroll of about $225 million, which is crazy. They are facing $68 million in luxury tax payments. To put that in perspective, they've only paid $51 million since 2002. So that's big. And if Peyton Watson accepts his qualifying offer for 6.5, that's not even saying if he re-signs to a long-term deal, that number jumps up to $112 million. So they are facing a financial crisis right now. And this was a problem that began a couple of years ago after they won the championship. They signed Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon to massive deals. They gave them a lot of money. They gave Christian Brown a 5-year, $125 million deal last offseason. And their starting five alone takes up 98% of the salary cap. So they are paying big bucks to these guys in their starting five. And now they're facing second apron restrictions. So I haven't even mentioned Peyton Watson, who is a key player. Like, I don't think some people realize how key some of these guys are. Like, Spencer Jones is a great wing for them to have. Peyton Watson's even better. This is a guy coming off of a career year. He averaged 15 a game on 41% from three. He's an elite defensive wing. Well, I guess elite for Denver. Like, he fits Denver's, what they're trying to build. So these are key, crucial guys to their rotation. And I haven't even mentioned he's a restricted free agent as well. He's looking for big money. Well, I wouldn't say big money, but he's looking for somewhere around $14 to $25 million a year. I think the deal that they threw out was $70 million for 5 years. That's a deal that I think fits him. But Denver has a problem with that because they're already over the second apron, and the only way and now they have to get out of it, in my opinion, because I don't think we talked about the second apron enough, so I'm not going to go into it too in depth. But Denver now has to try to navigate what they're going to do, and I think there's a couple of possible ways. And the first one was obviously a sign-and trade with Peyton Watson. That is goal number one for Denver, and it's going to have to be a salary dump. The asking price they originally had was one key rotational player and a draft pick. They can't do that anymore because they're over the second apron. You cannot take back more salary. That if you take an equal salary to Peyton Watson, or if you take more salary than Peyton Watson, you just can't do it because you're already over the second apron, and that's one of the restrictions financially that you have with being over the apron. So they can't go out and get another player. They'd have to trade him for picks. And the other part that's hard about this is if you're a team that's looking to get Peyton Watson, basically what you have to do is just absorb his contract because you're not giving up another player because Denver literally, legally cannot do it. So you have to just absorb a $14 or a $25 million contract without giving up anybody, which is difficult, and that could also put another team in financial problems. So that's where it's hard. The other thing I can see them doing is you look at moving one of these three contracts in Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon, or Cam Johnson. That's the other move I could see them making. I could definitely see them moving on from Cam Johnson. I don't know if they want to move on from Gordon. He's part of their core, although he's had some injury struggles, which I'll get into in a minute. So that brings me to my next point, which is Nikola Jokic. And he is extension eligible for a 4-year, $278 million deal. That's a lot of money. But he's opted out. He's not going to take that just yet. And guess what he's going to do, Brady? He's going to make the selfless move and wait until next offseason where he's eligible for a 5-year, $359.5 million deal.
Wow.
So he's going to take a lot more money. And now Denver is already above the second apron. He's got 2 years left on his deal, including this year. This is the only guaranteed one because then he's got a player option the next year after that worth $62.8 million. So if he declines that, he goes and he's now eligible for a historic deal, like by far the most money that's ever been paid out to a single player. So Denver's already in financial problems. Nikola Jokic is about to get this big deal. They are not great, but this brings me to the final key point of this entire argument. If you're Nikola Jokic, and I want to say this because I'm not one of those TikTok clickbaiters who are telling you that Nikola Jokic is on the move. I do not believe he is going to be traded. I do not believe he's going to be moved. But if you're Nikola Jokic, you take a look at this roster and how do you feel about it? Because you already don't have a contending roster, in my opinion, and you're in a financial crisis right now. So you look at it. They've got 0 tradable first-round picks. Their 2034 first-round pick is frozen because of the second apron, fiasco that's going on. So they can't trade picks. That makes it harder to do deals, which they need to do because they need to get out of this second apron. And you're stuck paying a lot of money to Christian Brown and Aaron Gordon. Christian Brown dropped off from 39% from three to 30%. He also only played in 44 games last year. So he's regressed. Aaron Gordon has missed 66 games the last 2 years because of issues with his hamstring and other soft tissue injuries. He also was in and out of the lineup during the playoffs, so he has not been reliable. Also, Aaron Gordon's contract goes from, I think, $22 million a year to $31 million a year, so a $9 million increase, which doesn't seem like a lot, but if you look at where this team already is financially, like that's significant. So they're already paying money out to these guys who are not. It's not the right core. They don't have a championship team right now. And now, if you're Nikola Jokic, you are still in the peak of your career, do you explore the market at all and see, like, I know he said he wants to be a Nugget for life, but I just wanted to get your take on this. You look at this roster and you look at the financial restrictions that this team has right now. If you are Nikola Jokic, how closely do you pay attention to how this team handles their expenses this next season?
It's an interesting look because also another point is Nikola Jokic is one of the most interesting players we've ever seen. He won a championship, and what he cared about most was going back to his horses. So
he said he didn't want to do the parade. He said
exactly.
He said that he said what day is the parade? Oh, I don't want to be there. Like that's ridiculous.
Exactly.
Like come on now.
So I don't know how much he values winning. I know he just wants to make his money. It's his job, and he values that job. But I don't know how much he really cares about the team, to be honest. So I mean, if he wants to win, yeah, I would look at the team and be like, do I want to be here? Probably not. The team doesn't look like a winning team right now. It doesn't. Or are you just gonna be selfish and take the money? Because I mean, at the end of the day, you gotta look out for yourself, and you want the money. You want the money. The one thing I will say is, and I want to make an emphasis on this. Like Lou said, Nuggets are the only team over the second apron right now. If the second apron wasn't that bad, there'd be more teams over it. That's how bad the second apron is. That's why you have to try and avoid it. Like, it's such a big emphasis because it changes your entire future if you're over the second apron, and it screws you for years to come.
You know what the funniest thing is, and I forgot to mention this. I just think it's so funny that I feel like Sam Presti is once again being the evil man in the NBA. And basically what he did is he just completely reshaped and upped Spencer Jones's value on the market. Like, the Nuggets probably weren't willing to go out and go over the second apron for Spencer Jones. They thought he was probably just going to re-sign at a less deal. And then the Thunder go out there and offer him 2 years, $12 million. And he's a restricted free agent, and Sam Presti knows that. So it's either Denver matches it and they go over the second apron and they go into financial, like, hell, or, we get Spencer Jones. Can we just talk about how Sam Presti, again, is being, like, an incredible GM here? Like, and we'll talk about the Thunder in a minute. Because they're our next topic with Lou Dort. And I just think it's so interesting, all the second apron does. And it's like one of the most fascinating things to me. Because like you said with baseball, and like we'll touch on, like you said with baseball, I loved the analogy you used. Like the NBA has it right where these contending teams are not contending for – the championship window is maybe 2 or 3 years now. It's not 10 years. It's you maybe have a year or two where you can build around a core. And then by now you've got to extend – you've got to extend so-and-so for $40 million a year. You've got to extend another guy for $30 million a year. And then you're just you don't have the ability to go out and contend and make contending moves because you're over the second apron. So it just makes so much – it makes for so much parity. And it's just – I love it. I really do. Yeah. And I think Denver is in a very interesting position. Like you said, I find it really, really funny how Sam Presti has just once again done it again. And he's really just ruined a Western Conference rival because Denver's in a bad spot. Like, they're just not in a great spot right now.
I got to give props where props due. Sam Presti is by far the best GM in the NBA. I do say I hate the Thunder. And first off, they keep making winning moves, which is so annoying because they're so frustrating to watch. But my biggest thing with the Thunder is I hate Shai Gilgeous' game. And when you watch him when he's not foul baiting or doing that flop thing BS, he's so fun to watch. But then he does that
one of the best bags in the league.
Seriously. And then you watch him foul bait and do those, like, some of those clips are so exaggerated.
It's been so refreshing, though, to watch him. If you watch him play for Canada and what he's been doing this summer, he's been playing, like, pure hoops because the rules are different. It's just the NBA, really, it is. That's just how, like, it is. And we'll touch on this maybe if you want to. What do you think about the free throw rule? Because they've been testing out in the summer league where a player goes and shoots one shot, whether it's worth 2 or 3, points. What do you think about that? Like, do you think that's do you think that's good for the league?
I don't. I mean, how many games have you watched that come down to free throw shooting, and it just makes it more like that's what gets viewers, bro. When you're in a close game and you watch that first free throw go in, then you gotta make the second one. It puts more.
Exactly.
I don't like the rule, to be honest.
I agree.
It's a
I
good
agree
rule
with
to
you.
try.
No,
Yeah, it's a good rule to try, but I don't like it.
I agree with you. Well, we'll not get too much off topic. That is our take on Denver. We're going to move on to the next topic, which is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Alrighty, let's jump into our next topic. Let's talk about a positive team that is avoiding the second apron. The Oklahoma City Thunder are in a much better financial position than they were a couple of weeks ago. And I know, like Brady said, that pains him to see. So a couple of weeks ago, the Thunder traded Lou Dort, their outstanding perimeter 3-and-D wing. They traded him to the Atlanta Hawks. So the Hawks got back Lou Dort and Ryan Nembhard from the Mavericks. The Mavericks got back Zachary Risacher, which I find so interesting because that guy was the number 1 pick 2 years ago. Yeah. And the Thunder received 3 future second-round picks as if they needed any more draft capital. So why did they make this move? This was a financially motivated decision. Like, not that's it. That's really it's as simple as that. They wanted to avoid the second apron. They wanted to maintain some financial flexibility to retain some of their key core players and several other assets on their team. They wanted to keep winning, and they've done that. I think they've put themselves in a great position. So coming into the summer, they were actually faced with a pretty bad situation financially. Like, I talked about this on the last episode when we were talking about the second apron. I said, I assume Oklahoma City will be hit with this second apron stuff very soon. And turns out it came just about a week after that episode dropped. So June 15th is a key date. So they were paying $260 million in salary to all their players. They were also paying $296 in luxury tax, which is well above, like they were way above the second apron, about $40 million. Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren's contracts were both jumping up to $41.5 million next year because their 4-year extensions that they signed last summer were finally kicking in this year. SGA's salary also jumps from $40.8 million this year to about $60 million next year because his extension kicks in. So they're paying a lot of money to these 3 guys. Cason Wallace is currently eligible for a contract extension, a rookie scale extension, which you think is probably going to be around $20 or $30 million, somewhere around there. AJ Mitchell becomes extension eligible next summer. He's going to be paid more because of what he did in the playoffs, and he's obviously a key contributor. So if you look at all that, you see, wow, there is going to have to be some sacrifice. And this is exactly what the Oklahoma City Thunder did. They chose, and they came back with a bruise. They did not come back with a wound. Okay, I want to make this clear. OKC is in a great position still. They traded Aaron Wiggins for 2 future second-round picks. He was supposed to make $11.5 million per year. So they traded him to Atlanta. They traded Isaiah Joe to the Pistons for, again, 2 future second-round picks. He was supposed to make $12.5 million this year. They picked up Lou Dort's team option for $17.7 million, which at that point it should have been like, okay, they're going to trade him because why would they pick that up? So then they traded him to Atlanta for 3 future second-round picks. So they got back 7 total second-round picks, which is just, again, just adds to their treasure trove of picks that they have. And they also declined, a move that I think was a little underrated, is they declined Kenrich Williams' $7.2 million team option, and they re-signed him for $5 million. So after all of that, their salary is now $214 million. That's about 7 below the second apron this year. They only are paying $20 million in luxury tax. So they saved almost $300 million. Like, they were making about almost $560 million in payments last year, or coming into the offseason, and now they're making $230. So a lot of money saved. $300 million saved this year. They add, again, like I said, even more draft capital. So that's great. What does, like, this was needed because, again, you want to keep your core with SGA, Chet, and Jalen Williams because you just paid them all this money. And you also want to keep Cason Wallace because, to me, I think Cason Wallace can easily grow into this Lou Dort role. Like, I don't think he'll have any problem. Yeah,
he is a great perimeter defender.
Yes, so he is obviously, like, he shot 35% from 3. That's actually above what Lou Dort shot last year. And he's also, like you said, one of the best perimeter defenders. Like, he can easily grow into that Lou Dort type of role, in my opinion. And also, AJ Mitchell is a huge offensive piece. Like, this gave them financial flexibility. These moves gave them financial flexibility to go out and extend Cason Wallace and AJ Mitchell, 2 key contributors, and retain their core. That's what this did. AJ Mitchell averaged 15 a game during that playoff run. He was a key offensive, piece for OKC and what they were trying to do. So it gets them below the second apron, which is obviously what they wanted. Now, I think OKC really wanted to get under the second apron because what is probably their most valuable asset, Brady?
Draft capital.
Their draft picks. And guess what happens if you're above the second apron? You lose out on some of your draft picks. So they wanted to get below this because they're not necessarily maybe worried about the team building. They don't really go out and use mid-level exceptions, and they already have the team. They were more worried about being able to go out and trade their draft picks and actually make use of all the draft capital they have.
And they also extended Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yes, and they got him at a good deal too.
Yeah.
$25 million annually is good, especially what we saw Walker Kessler go for. And I think Kessler's a little bit better, but I think they're slightly they're kind of around the same level. And yes, exactly. So great deal. What is your just general reaction? I think to OKC. I know you don't like them making winning moves, but this was indeed a winning move, and they were Sam Presti again shows why he's one of the premium best GMs in the league.
Yeah, like you said, bro, they just keep making winning moves. What I will say is second round picks come and go. They really don't do anything. You get a good second round pick once every couple years, but I mean they have so many to be fair.
Right.
But I also don't want to skip over the Mavs getting Zachary Richardson. I think that's a great trade for the Mavs. Anyone that's a former number one overall pick definitely has potential, and I don't know if Atlanta was the right fit for him. He's got a Dusty May incoming coach who Dusty May, in my opinion, is one of the best talent developers there is. I'm still butthurt over him leaving, but anyway, that's besides the point. But that's a great move for them. And like I said with OKC, second round picks come and go. They don't do that much. That's why everyone's giving them they're giving up multiple at a time. But OKC's in a great spot. They are. They also just signed picked a Mara, which is an amazing pick in my opinion. So they just keep making winning moves, and there might be that one team that like even with these new rules to like where your championship window, they're extending it just because Sam Presti's moves in the office.
A genius. He's a genius, and we need him in the Bay. I don't care how much money you got to throw at him. Get him on a train or whatever, on a plane to San Francisco right now, and he can sign the extension. I would take Sam Presti in a heartbeat. Like, that guy is probably just as valuable as Steph Curry to the Warriors right now. So let's just debrief, talk about all this. The Nuggets are in a very bad position, and I wanted to put the Thunder right after this because it just shows the two sides of the second apron. It's what team can make the best moves possible to avoid it. It is avoidable. We're seeing it right now. OKC is avoiding it, and this is huge because, like you said, most of these teams, they struggle with, the second apron and having a championship window last more than a year or two. So seeing OKC do this, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. So I think obviously props to the Oklahoma City front office. That is how a front office should run. If Mike Dunleavy or Steve Kerr are watching this podcast somehow, that is exemplary. So that's our take on OKC. Alrighty, to wrap up this fourth edition of Mic'd Up, we are going to touch on the Kawhi Leonard investigation. There has been some new updates. Well, actually not really, but just some new things that we've learned. First of all, I want to reintroduce what this investigation is quickly. It's obviously an investigation into the Clippers, whether they circumvented the salary cap, whether they paid Kawhi Leonard through a no-show endorsement deal with a company called Aspiration. He took $28 million to add on top of his NBA salary. So basically the NBA is trying to see if there is any wrongdoing regarding that, and they haven't found anything yet. We have not heard much. This trade is still put on hold. Of course, the league gave the Raptors an ultimatum. It's you either take Kawhi Leonard, let this trade go through, and inherit the punishment that whatever punishment they find out of it, you inherit whatever punishment comes the Clippers' way, or you just put the trade on hold and wait until the investigation has reached a conclusion. Still on hold. Toronto is still standing firm on the fact that they do not want to take on any punishment, whether it's draft capital, fines, suspensions, whatever happens with that. They have still stood firm on their stance on what they want to do. I think it's obviously smart for Toronto. I talked about it before. Now, I just wanted to say a very interesting point is that this opens the door to a world where Kawhi Leonard is still a Clipper and Brandon Ingram and Grady Dick are still Raptors. Just wanted to say that. And I think what is so interesting about this is, can you imagine the locker room in Toronto if Brandon Ingram and Grady Dick are still on tour. Like, we saw it happen with Dalton Connect. Like, he has not been the same player ever since he's been back on the Lakers. Remember, he was traded to Charlotte, and then I think it was Mark Williams failed the physical, or there was something to do with a physical, and he got sent back. Okay, yeah, so he got sent back, and he hasn't been the same. So, as a team, if you're Toronto, you want this you want this trade to go through, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to maximize Scotty Barnes' prime. He just gave you a career year, and you're trying to capitalize on the momentum that you have. So you want Kawhi Leonard because it makes your team better, but you also have to be able to move on. Like, if this investigation somehow drags into the season, if it, drags into the winter and there's still no conclusion made, which is very possible, by the way, because this is not an NBA centered investigation. Like, this is going to be a legal investigation. So we know how long those can take. Like, there's got to be some type of arbitration, because Adam Silver can't just hand down a punishment himself. There's got to be appeals. Like, this is going to take months, like, in my opinion. It could be done, but I think it's going to take months because it's a legal process. So you look at that, and if you're Toronto, like, if the Clippers are going to get punishment, you probably don't want to take on that punishment. You also don't want this dragging on into the trade deadline. So, because you're going to want to flip Brandon Ingram and Grady Dick again, because it's obvious you want to trade them. You cannot keep two players that have been traded and then put back on the team. You can't do that, because it just messes up with chemistry. So you're going to want to flip Brandon Ingram and Grady Dick for other pieces that you can get back. I'm not even talking about the Clippers, because to me, I don't think it really matters whether LA keeps Kawhi or not. If he does, I mean, the Clippers still have Kawhi Leonard. Big deal. I don't think that messes up team chemistry a lot either, because the Clippers were the one who traded. You know what I'm saying? And so I just think, and another interesting point is, if somehow the league voids Kawhi's contract, which could happen, he could easily become a free agent here. He probably is going to re-sign with LA anyway, because I don't see a team right now with any cap space to go out and sign Kawhi Leonard. So he's probably going to re-sign with the Clippers if that happens. So if you're Toronto, it's really just a waiting game, but it cannot be too long of a waiting game, and we can't get to October and we can't be seeing Brandon Ingram in the starting lineup. I just don't think it can happen. But there is a world where it does happen, and I think it's interesting. I don't know if you have any comments about that, like just maybe how interesting that would be if you keep two players who you traded and then got back on the team. Well, I guess the NBA needs to get it done. I assume that's what you would have to say here, right?
Yeah, I think it's also, I know it's a legal process, but you're kind of putting the Raptors on a limb here. You're either like, if you don't get it done, you're putting them on hold, and you're putting a team together that's not meant to be together. They literally were just traded. They're obviously not meant to be together. So in my opinion, they just need to get the trade done. And if the trade doesn't get done, or the investigation comes back to where the Clippers did do something wrong, you gotta ship Brandon Ingram and Grady Dick. Get him out of there. Dalton Connect's a perfect point. You don't want to go to a team where you just got traded. You don't.
Exactly, and it's just, obviously, it's chemistry things with Toronto. Like, they want Kawhi Leonard. There's no doubt. Like, I don't see them not wanting Kawhi Leonard. This trade would have obviously already gone through had there not been, any hold up with the investigation. It's got to get done at some point. Like, it's just messing with both of these franchises. I guess more so the Raptors than the Clippers.
Yeah.
Because the Clippers already kind of know what they have, and if they don't end up getting this trade, they just get Kawhi Leonard back. They haven't really made any other significant moves to fill that Kawhi Leonard hole. So Kawhi Leonard's still a Clipper right now, and if this is to drag on into October, which I assume it will, Kawhi Leonard will be playing for the Los Angeles Clippers. Like, that is, I think, the most key point. And Toronto is probably, at the end of the day, and this might end up just being Toronto's walking away from the deal completely. Like, I could see Toronto, if this reaches like a point where it's November or December, Toronto's just like, we're not doing this deal. We're going to go out and get somebody that will actually come in and play for us. We're going to try to upgrade, because, again, you can't keep two players that you just traded from, on the roster.
Yeah.
We're going to go flip these guys for another contributing piece. I just think it sucks for Toronto that they're having really to pay for what the Clippers did or did not do. I don't know, but I do think it's unfortunate for the Raptors, because they had a deal done, and now they have to,
a good
wait.
Deal a good deal.
Exactly, a great deal. Something that was going to make them better, make them a top seed in the East. And now it's just like, Where do you go from here? Just playing the waiting game. I know we don't have much updates. Obviously, we will keep a close eye on that, see what happens with Kawhi Leonard in the Clippers and the Raptors. But that is going to wrap up this 4th edition of Mic'd Up. Thank you for joining us again today. Thank you to my co-host Brady for coming in and giving his points. Very interesting decisions coming up. LeBron James, obviously, on the Sixers. I don't even want to say it. Steph Curry might be traded. And the Warriors had a horrible the Warriors have a horrible front office and have had a terrible offseason. Very pitiful from them, unfortunately. Nuggets, Thunder, big financial moves. And then the Clippers. Still don't know what's going to go on with Kawhi Leonard. But thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. See you on the next episode.